My Hero Academia.
Oh, if only Brian was well.
Well, this is My Hero Academia, chapter 369, A Chain of Events Across the Ages. Last we left off, Deku has arrived and has revealed the second user for One For All's quirk, which is Overdrive or Gear Shift or something like that. And it allows him to basically slow down or speed up the movements of any object that he touches, from what I understand. And we open this chapter with a flashback of sorts where we see the death actually of the second One For All user, um, as he's being basically held up by One For All, who seems to be crying, and I think that's an interesting note.
Yeah.
I think there was something here, like maybe this was a friend of his that betrayed him, and he's like, "I gotta do you." Um, but yeah, we see this moment where he makes his last ditch effort to take out One For All, but One For All stops it. And there's this monologue where All For One talks about how his quirk was way weaker in the past and it only worked on smaller object. So he was like never more than a lackluster pea shooter. Um, but now his power seems to have increased like fucking tenfold. And not only that, All For One seems to be able to see the visages of the other One For All users, as Deku is beating the brakes off of him. It is.
Do you remember how they were saying Sam Darnold was seeing ghosts when he's with the Jets?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All For One is
He's seeing
seeing.
ghosts.
He's quite literally seeing ghosts. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
of all of the people he's killed personally, to be honest. So,
Just I see dead people.
oh shit! Why? Um,
That's why I think my theory still stands that he did die already,
All For
and
One.
that all of this is just like his like purgatory, him going through something to learn like a lesson in life.
Well, he did like take over a body, so I think he's still technically alive. No?
No, this is him in the afterlife. He's going through the stages of death right now. Like
Oh,
it's like a mini arc within the arc.
I see.
You know what I'm saying? He died last shot. Like these thoughts, him. That's why he's crying right now. He does. That's why it's so weird. It's like, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Abstract.
Yeah. I mean, I think they explain it that it's more that One For All and All For One are melding together more as the battle continues.
That sounds like some existential
It is
going through death type of shit to me.
I mean, probably. Hey, I don't know how this shit works. um, but yeah, he is freaking out because he is seeing ghosts, and we get I guess, a little narration. I don't know if this is All For One thinking. Sometimes, like they do these like thought things that sometimes it's clearly All For One. Like how's this happening? But it's also this narration talking about how Gear Shift's strength grew alongside the other quirks, because they never really died. So as long as these quirks survive, they will continue to evolve and adapt and all that stuff. So that's why Gear Smash is a lot more strong these days. Um, is because it got stronger and stronger because of the quirk singularity, and that's basically the long and short of what All For One is saying here. Um, but there's some cool stuff to be shown here. Deku is like flying straight towards him, and as All For One thinks he got close enough, he takes a big ass swing, but uh, Deku just like slows his own inertia, as he's going to kind of like stop it. And to be honest, I think that like shift thing is kind of cool. Like it's a cool little battle pose type thing where it looks like he's shifting the gears of a car. Um,
Yeah,
that's
it's pretty
cool.
cool.
That's cool. Um, but yeah, as Shigaraki, oh, well, I might switch between them because they are one and the same, I guess. But Shigaraki tries to counter again, but there's a big ass smoke screen. Um, and then all of a sudden he gets black whipped from above, and he's he's just like heading straight towards Deku, as he's explaining all of the merging of and usage of all the quirks that he's using right now. using the fourth danger sense to sense the danger, using the smoke screen to obscure his vision, and immediately using float so he could fly above, and black whip so he can pull him up, and he's using all this shit. The third's Fajin, allowing him to, I don't know, do something. He's a big old cool panel.
Burst.
Yeah, and plus also
Burst with speed.
yeah, and he's using all of their quirks in conjunction. I think you see All Might back there too. It's kind of cool. This little panel where he's loading up his big old attack, and we see the seconds talking about how All for One really just focused more on the abilities themselves as opposed to the people who wield them. You know, because he sees these. The implication is that All for One has always taken quirks at face value. You know, like you're either strong or you're weak. There's like a binary in that way, and it doesn't matter who the person behind it is. A weak power is a weak power. And that he says that the true power resides within an individual's intent, and that is why. And you know, this is all as like Deku mollywops his guts really hard, and the narration ends with, "This is why people call them quirks." And All for One's like, "Ah, fuck," falling. He's got a big crater in his chest, and he's talking about how he's resonating with One for All and All for One, and that's why he could see his brother and all that stuff. The second's like, "Don't let up," because you know you can't take it easy just yet. And he's like, we get this little internal monologue from All for One where he's like, "Surely you jest. I haven't even used a single quirk yet. I have yet to brandish the true value of this body." And he turns over to Aizawa and Monoma. He's like, "They're to blame, unsightly Eraserhead and his merry brats, and this tomb they designed to separate us." Then he's like, "Well, this whole sequence of event, this moment." Oh my thing phased out the chapter time. Okay, there you go. And we get this like panel where he's just like, "Ha!" I guess he's calling out to people. He's like, "No, not yet. This entire chain of events will now inevitably spell out victory or defeat for all." And we end the chapter with a big panel of Spinner. I guess he's hearing a call. This is like supposed to be a call to them, to the League of Villains in general, for backup maybe. But yeah, that's where the chapter ends. Jeez, Josh, what did you think of chapter 369?
Nice. I interpreted a few things differently, but I kind of agree with what you're saying, though. Towards the end here, okay. I think it's really interesting how he's starting to just now realize, like, and scan the battlefield, like, okay, what's the issue? We're divided. These people are not letting me use my quirks. It's, you know what I'm saying? That's the issue. And then you see him, like, you know, screaming with these stars out. I think he's about to, like, activate something else within his body. I don't think he's calling out to people. I think we're just getting a random switch over to Spinner, which I can't fucking believe. I'm honestly astonished. It's a shame Brian isn't here because he could have talked a lot of shit. Because I'm pretty sure I said with a lot of confidence that we would never see that situation again.
Well,
do you recall?
I do recall that. I do remember you saying that this entire ordeal would be handled off screen.
Yeah, I did say that, and I was wrong. I'll take that. That's fine.
Well, we don't know
but
that.
this looks like Bakugo's attack.
You think?
The stars. I think he's about to get fucking exploded, and then they're gonna think the job is done, and then he's gonna rise and be like, "Fools! I've entered my third form, my for real extra serious style. Instead of just fingers, it's gonna be feet too,
Ew.
and he's gonna use those feet to grow to get out the cage
Yeah.
and attack Monoma. It's gonna be rough. Midoriya is gonna need Bakugo's help to die again, to sacrifice himself once All for One gained access to his quirks.
Yeah.
So that's I don't think it's gonna exactly happen that way, but I do think that this is Bakugo's attack. I'm going for that.
That's a pretty bold theory there.
Why does Spinner look like this?
I think All for One mentioned that he gave Spinner an extra quirk. So
Should I reserve my judgment? Because I'm not feeling this right now. I don't like what they did to my boy.
I'm reserving my judgment. You could do what you want. I'm reserving. I'm also like, all right, this is weird. But I guess
His neck looks like corn.
His neck does look like
butter. Buttery corn neck.
Nice. All right. Any more thoughts?
Nah. Maybe I did. Well, let me hear your thoughts. Perhaps I have some rebuttals.
Yeah, I thought this chapter was pretty cool. I did ask for, hey, I hope we get a little bit more of Deku, doing, somewhat strategical stuff, mixing quirks and using them in conjunction with each other. And I got a little bit of that. That one page where he's like got all of them kind of combined. It's pretty rad, I would say. Pretty cool. Not mad at that at all. There's a lot of great art here. Deku's going off. I respect it. Man, sometimes with these flashbacks, these little like pieces of lore we get, I mean, at this point, it's like, bro, just tell us what happened in all these. Like, can we do a big flashback of the past of my hero? You keep like showing us this kind of cool shit, or at least like somewhat interesting stuff, and I'm like, why can't we just get a whole fun flashback thing about All for One and stuff? And we'll probably get that still, but the series isn't over for another probably 3 weeks maybe. So I would say that maybe there's still time for it, but I'm
if they got time for Spinner, they probably got time for that.
No, Spinner supersedes all.
Oh.
But yeah, I thought this was a cool chapter. I mean, I don't think it's over by a mile. I think there's still a lot that still needs to happen. A lot of the League of Villains are still up and about, and we may not get extended looks at what's going on in all these battles, but I can't imagine that they won't be addressed in one way or another. The stuff with Spinner, I mean, I'm still going with, I think he's just calling them, but I don't know, because I feel like Spinner is looking off to the side because he hears it. He hears something. So I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Great chapter though. Solid chapter. I'm here for it. I don't really have many other thoughts outside of that as well. Pretty cool chapter overall. Obviously, Bakugo is going to come back too. I agree with that. He's going to have to do
Midoriya is technically a reality warper now.
Oh yeah, they say that. They mentioned that the scope of all these powers have expanded to such a level that they can warp the very laws governing reality. So pretty cool. But yeah, any rebuttals? Anything to say to that? I mean, this is gonna be a short recap. It's a lot of fucking action, cool action, very well drawn, as per usual from Horikoshi. It's a little bit of a lore tease, but I would like to see a little bit more about it. Why is he crying? My theory is that the second user for One for All used to be a friend of his that turned coat.
Yeah.
So
he does have a kind of like badass look to him. that
Mm-hmm.
makes you think maybe he used to be a villain. Ho
Mm-hmm.
ho ho ho.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. He used to be a villain. He crossed over to the good side.
Like Bakugo.
Yeah, Bakugo was always like not a villain. He wasn't a villain. He
He
always
was a
wanted.
villain to Midoriya.
Yeah, he was a real dick to Midoriya, but outside of that, he was like he wanted to be a hero from the jump. So I don't know.
Mm.
All right. Well, that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
solid chapter. I don't got any complaints really. Just that one thing. Just like show us more about the world. I don't want to have to read a
I
whole.
have plenty of complaints, but it's the same shit I always say. Wish we would have had some more time with certain things. I'll give it a little speed run. It would have been nice to have a specific arc dedicated to each member of the past, learning things about the past from them, and Midoriya growing with the quirk and learning it so that it's more personal, so that we feel more attachment to these newer quirks or something like that. That would have been nice. That ain't lit. They didn't have to be huge arcs. It could have been mini arcs. Oh
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Other each character from each character's past could have had other characters featuring in it for whatever reason. That would have been perfect. That would have been nice.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think that post-war arc was like the big drop in the ball there, because I think if we stayed in that world for a little longer, it was a cool world, to be in, like this post-apocalyptic type thing. It would have opened a lot of. There was a lot of opportunity for characters to be fleshed out, and for us to like have these battles, and this like little mini battle still raging on. Um, like you said, Josh, like that would have been a good opportunity that like we could have really stayed with Deku and kind of like watched him convene with these other One for All users. I don't know. That's my big thing, is that like that was the big opportunity that would have probably
Learning different perspectives from different heroes from his past and their generations.
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Comparing it to now, how can we synthesize views? You know what I'm saying? The good ideas from the past to create something better in the future.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know?
yeah, I really wish we could have spent more time in that, for lack of a better term, I guess, like Dirty Deku era. I think that was like an interesting one that could have stayed, that could have been way better if they really like stayed with it for a little while longer, you know? Like a lot of good character development on multiple characters could have been a thing on that. But we've said this before.